So most of you guys know me as Kid Cut, the voice of the vibe, the MC from the Baby Blue Sound Crew.
When I say baby, y'all say blue, baby, 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 baby.
But little do you know, I am a vinyl collector, a producer, a DJ. I love vinyl. This record right here was one of the first records I purchased it. Anytime I bought records in the past, I would purchase the record and put my name on the record, and I'd put the year that I got the vinyl. So like if I was playing a party and somehow one of my records got, taken up by somebody else accidentally, I could be like, that's my record. The records that are in here actually mean something to me. And when I purchased this home, the whole thing was there's a spot under the stairs. That's why the roof is only this high. I made sure, I was like, yep, that's where I'm gonna put my vinyl, in this spot, and I can lock it up.
Do it!
There's one store that's very special to me. Every time I go there, I'm always inspired, whether it's a sample or a break. Yo, let's go get some new vinyl.
Do it!
We make money, money, money. We take money, money, money. We make money, money, money. We take money, money, money. See, I'm like a soldier in the war that makes my heart like 10. A disciple of the street, treating boys like men. Enemies like friends, fake cats like kings. A rap idol stifle any weak rhymes y'all bring. Cause I got the game so like string. What the cold life bring? Nowadays I only praise one king. Counteract you fake cats to rap about one thing. Out here are real heads that live the lives y'all sing. We make money, money, money. We take money, money, money. We make money, money, money. We take money, money, money. We make money, money, money. We take money, money, money. We make money, money, money. We take money, money.
You always say that you just had the right people around you. But I mean, bigger than that, right? I mean, this is about a love of music.
Yes.
And this turned into what people are calling a cultural artifact. When you hear that, what does it make you think?
I know for people, they always talk about it on the internet. When they come here, they tell you, because I served like 3 generations. Father, then the son. Now the son has little kids, and they're bringing them in. I love to see those kids, and they tell their kids the stories. Oh, this is vinyl, so and so and so. This is a CD. Long time ago, Thursday, we fighting records with other DJs, all this stuff, you know what I mean? They tell them stories like that. It was good. It was like a meeting place every Thursday.
Being immersed in that world was just, it's hard to articulate sometimes some of the things that I experienced. Just seeing the unity of people, DJs, people from all walks of life showing up on a Thursday.
We created the soundtrack for this time, and this was the meeting place. It was communal, and it was live, and it was alive.
If you were a DJ in the city, like, everybody was there. It was packed. There was times you just couldn't even move in there. It was just...
Everybody was going to him. He was the go-to guy. And it kind of didn't matter who you were in the industry. Whether you're a promoter, whether you're a DJ, whether you're an artist, you needed Eugene.
You know, I never thought about it, but when we were doing this documentary, and then I wrote stuff on paper, and then I realized maybe we did. I'm always so busy. I'm always doing something. I'm always exercising. I'm always with my mom and dad, trying to help them or doing something, or my family, right? And so I never think about all these things. And people would always tell me, oh, the store is an institution, da-da-da. I was like, okay, all right, okay, cool, no problem. But it's only when we started doing this documentary, maybe we did have something to do with it. You know what I mean? I never saw it, like, when you have to step back. Then you see the picture, right?
Yo, I represent the reason rappers are write songs for. The legendary lyricism you long for. Controller of the crowd, the party people respond for. Receiver of encores, my people's demand more. Rappers, that fell into the pit of the rancor. To contemplate the fate that you're eternally damned for. Everyone I know seeking an answer to what the super educated professor of rhyme stand for. Original rhythm and rhyme is sure to enhance your experience. Therapeutic lyrics curing the cancer. Plaguing the music, people need to be shown vision. Rhyming with the potency of this hydroponically grown ism. The rhythm holding me, you pigeonholing me, you classify my style of rap. My rapper sound is the cap and the gown style of rap. But where them dollars that it's time to pay homage to the styles of who you follow black.
If you're ready,
now if you're ready,
rock steady, considering that you never experienced a veteran yet.
Steadily sweat,
skills revealed within the rhymes related.
Architects and style,
professors got me
super educated.
To my people in the front, feeling bass to bump, and just clap your hands until the beat, y'all. To my people in the rear, put a line in the air, just a rock to this, y'all.
Well, you know it's me. So, hey y'all, I'm a superstar. Check out what the heck I got to say. I'm super educated, ready to get.
And I would buy bootleg records of Lord Finesse and Digging in the Crates because they were just too expensive and the records weren't that good to begin with. So, hey, Finesse, what's up?
Yeah, there's a lot of history from the old location that we transferred across to this location. Roy is, well, so many people sample this guy, right? And he's so big. They approached us and they wanted to do a signing in the store, and we said, okay, cool, no problem. He came early, he set up everything. He would see people coming straight from the door and be calling them, hey, come. You know, he doesn't even know if they're coming for him or not. He just calling them. Maestro is like the first one that opened the doors for everybody too, right? And then he happened to be coming through. All these guys used to come through the store all the time, right? I used to see them all the time. So it's no big deal. But then I said it'll be cool for him to just sign it. Actually, I think ABBA was one of my first record that I bought. Like actually go and paid money instead of getting records from my dad. ABBA. But this is not the right one, but this is one that ABBA, I remember, was hot at that time, and we were all dancing to it. Dancing Queen. I had these 45s here. Brought from back home. Well, this is just some of it, but there was a lot of 45s, me and my brother. We bought 45s, and this is what we used to listen to, man. Grew up in Trinidad in Port of Spain, Belmont, Birthday Road. My mom and dad had business there selling groceries. We had certain exclusive products for for the whole of Trinidad, and that's how he made his living, and he, made some of his money, right? I just remember when I was young, I just going down there right after school, running around playing there, and maybe that's how I got my business sense or whatever. I remember he had a friend. She had all the jukeboxes. She owned a lot of jukeboxes around Trinidad, and she came to my dad and said, like, I have so many thousands of records. You want to take them? And he negotiated a price. Next year, we had the records, man. I was like, get into the music there. I started getting records for free. I came across to Canada to study, and I guess after I finished study, I'll come back and take over the business, right? But then my brother came and studied, then my sister came, and then my dad just came. He took a 2-day holiday. He never takes a holiday. He took a 2-day holiday, came down to Canada, and he loved it, and he said, we're moving.
Years ago, Huron Indians named this city with their word for meeting place, Toronto. Today, a very big meeting place.
Ask any DJ or music lover what they tend to do when they travel to new cities. What's always on the agenda? Record stores. Tuning into a city's, not just club culture, but music culture. Record stores have long been at the heart of that.
I stayed here for like about a month and went record shopping. Sam the Record Man, Cheapies, A&A Records. Later on, I was buying at Star Sound and Carnival Records.
Star Sound was actually the record store to go to in the 80s. I remember seeing, guys from Club Z, Twilight Zone, all those guys were there buying records. It was a social gathering too. You get to meet and greet, Never thought I'd meet this DJ, he's here, that kind of thing.
When I had that experience going to Star Sound, that was like one of my first wow moments. Like, oh my God, this is real. I didn't know that was going to happen, but they had my posters everywhere, and it was like, in my mind, wow, this is what LL Cool J must have felt like when he came out with, Rockin' Bells. Definitely good for me in terms of giving me that confidence to know that my city's behind me. So enough respect to Star Sound for that.
You felt this loyalty to Star Sound and Carnival, and then when Star Sound changed the tracks, my loyalty was at Carnival. And because Kamal from Carnival let me work there on Caravana Weekend in 1990, I felt a distinct loyalty to him because he paid me in records. And the horn!
As the music scene and the record scene became more commercialized, it just wasn't enough. Star Sound just wasn't enough. And everything would get sold out. There just wouldn't be enough for regular guys like me, buying records. Play the Record came at the right time, I think.
He dabbled in different things, and I think he wanted to do something retail. And it was just a natural progression with music that he loved. And I guess there was only a few record stores on Yonge Street.
And then my dad had a property on Yonge Street. The back was empty for 2 years.
He may have told you because his dad owned the building and the back part was very hard to rent out at that time in 1990. And there were other record stores, like everyone shopped along Yonge Street. He loved music and, he wanted to use the back.
Nobody wants to rent behind a store. Like, who would do that? You know what I mean? Only me. So I said, Dad, look, nobody's gonna rent there. Let's just open a record store there, right? My mom and him said, like, okay, let's try it out.
Record buyers, they see any new place that's open, want to go check it out. So and we were on the right area. So we got people shopping as soon as we opened.
Even when we opened the store, we didn't even have a name really. People say, what do you call your store? And then I just said, well, how I play the record, man. Right? Like play the record and that was it. I mean, I didn't know how to open a record store or whatever. I just know the music that I know. R&B, some jazz, Latin, soca and reggae. Right? So I opened a store with only that kind of music. One of the DJs that used to come and shop, his name is Deco. He liked what we were doing and he said, look, you need to get some house and techno and other types of music in here and you'll do well. He gave me a contact in Montreal. So I called that guy up. Look, whatever you think is the hottest stuff, just send it to me. So he sent me some stuff, people buying. We were bringing drum and bass and people were coming down and like, oh, wow, this is stuff that nobody has. You could only get in UK. He hooked me up good. And that's how the store, you know, like we started getting like the latest stuff and all the DJ stuff. Club DJs were coming in because we had stuff that nobody had.
It was this whole kind of mom and pop corner store in the front. So you walk in, you're like, am I at the right place? You hear there's this cool new record store, and then you walk and you're like, what?
As soon as you walk in to play the record, it immediately becomes this grimy kind of bodega experience where there's a convenience store before you walk in to play the record. Play the record was in the back half of 357. There would be like brass knuckles and porno tapes and, you know, all types of stuff that's completely unrelated with records.
Eugene and Donna are very warm, nice, cool, loving people. And then, of course, there were Eugene's parents that were there, both his mom and dad. Dad was super tough and scary.
My dad was a bit of the security guard, and my mom was just there to make sure that things were running smoothly.
Maybe he thinks he's still in Trinidad, you know what I mean? Because people stealing or whatever, it doesn't matter who, you know what I mean? He's always checking, the bags, make sure people, because there was people stealing. We caught a couple of people already.
The front of the store is selling everything from like pornographic movies and, you know, fake handguns and daggers and like all kinds of crap that you would expect in a kind of sleazy Young Street type of store.
You know what I mean? And we know certain people are coming to steal too. I mean, now it doesn't happen that often because people don't care about music that much. You can get it for free. But at that time, the only way you can get music is you gotta come to a record store.
The parents were the best and the meanest, but then I eventually won his mother over. I would be so nice to her all the time that she eventually would smile at me and I was like, wow, I did it. I slayed the dragon.
My mom, dad, Donna was there, and my brother came and helped out sometimes, and my sister came and helped out sometimes. We were by ourselves. And then I said, man, we better get somebody. Gotta get some DJs or somebody to know other people.
I was just hanging out at this local record shop called Carnival. There was a guy that was working there, Eric Lang. He said there's a new record shop that just opened down the street and they've got import house music. Walked in to play the record. I still remember they only had about 100 records in the store. I met Eugene and you like music? And I said, yeah. And you like house music? And I said, yeah. Do you want to work here? And then I said, sure. He goes, start tomorrow. I said, okay. So that's how I got the job. You know, Star Sound, Carnival, and Play the Record. They were very different from shops like Sam's and A&A.
Sam, the record one, was my more commercial. They sell classical, jazz, rock, right? I focus mostly on DJ, urban music, electronic music. That was my thing.
In the good old days, and I say that sort of like in parenthesis, all that music, let's call it black music. So disco, R&B, house, hip hop, that was all dance music.
Playing hip hop, funk, R&B, reggae was how I started as a DJ. And then over time, house music was invented. I gravitated in that direction.
House was like slowly building and building and building, and that was like the club thing. It was the house thing. There was a girl in my class, this girl named Sherry Asun, and her brother had owned the Twilight Zone nightclub. Like, I didn't know nothing about like clubs or anything, right? So she goes, oh yeah, I could bring you there one time. And we go to this club, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, what is this? And just, like, never seen anything like this ever. I was just like the sound's insane. Like, everything's like music I never heard before. I mean, I don't know how long I ended up staying there. Of course, you're 13, and it's 13, whatever, sneaking out the house and so on. So, but yeah, it was like, that's where the whole house thing started, from the Twilight Zone.
I grew up just outside of a town called Coburg. I grew up in a little town called Grafton. I mean, I totally did not get it. I walked in, I mean, it was sparse, like very little lighting. It was mostly strobes. It was, you know, screens and lasers and things flashing, and like what I didn't understand musically at the time, ironically, because it became so much a part of my life. It was definitely early underground house and early underground techno, and the meeting of that. The whole vibe of that, and the fact that you could be on a floor dancing beside somebody you've never seen before and smiling your face off at them all night, because it was new, it was fresh, it meant a lot. It connected people. It still does.
It's just the sound system. It's incredible here.
The people are friendly.
The atmosphere, the music, it's all right.
It's fun.
Well, Toronto's starting to grow. The popularity for underground music is starting to grow in the city, and the clubbing was starting to grow, which was amazing at that time.
Dino and Terry, Deco, Jason Steele was out there playing. Kenny Glasgow was coming up. He was young, but he's definitely coming up. Definitely Peter Tyrone and Shams were names I heard early on.
Of course, Peter Tyrone and Shams were like the kings of the house music world.
Those guys, they live for music. They think music all day long. They want to get the records early. That's with these guys.
Nightclubs started to open up, and DJs were getting jobs. They started to come on a regular basis because they had a gig.
At the time, he was using an amazing distributor that nobody was using. So with that, it just had good 12 inches coming in.
By that time, I was getting all of my stuff from Play the Record. I had a great relationship with Play the Record. Like, Eugene was an amazing guy to work with, so there was no reason for me to go anywhere else.
They knew what they were doing in terms of how to supply the city with all things kind of music. And also they stood out because they included and sold music in so many genres right from the start.
I really tried to push new music and push Canadian stuff and push, local stuff and good music, good new music, underground, nothing that was commercial, interesting stuff, different languages, different beats, doesn't matter what.
Rap, talking to music in a hip style. It started in the streets of New York, crossed over into the pop charts. Now rap is growing in Canada.
This past summer, people with the record chains noticed an increasing demand for rap. Customers came in looking for specific artists. They also were looking for whatever was new in the realm of rap.
All I can say about hip-hop is that hip-hop is me, you know what I mean? I can't control it, it's just taking control of me. I'll leave it at that.
I got started probably around 1985. moved right into the breakdance era. Tried different stuff. I tried dancing. I tried the fashion, this and that, and I ended up being drawn to the music.
My dad got us a pair of turntables, not because they wanted us to DJ or anything, but he just wanted us to keep our sticky paws off of his prized possessions. And that basically just developed my love for hip hop, and I started listening to Ron Nelson, Fantastic Voyage on CKLN.
There was a kid that lived behind me. His name was Henderson. So I knock on Henderson's door, and Henderson's parents are from Jamaica, and almost every time I'm walking in the door, music's being played, on big loud speakers. The first time I ever heard hip hop was in Henderson's home, right? We're going to school together, and I'm like, what's that? And he's like, you don't know what that is? And he's breaking. So I would say the first introduction to the art form is breakdancing, and to see somebody's body move in ways that you've never seen it before. So let's remember, this stuff is not on television. There is no YouTube. If you're not in person seeing somebody move this way, you can't even explain it to anybody else. And that was my first introduction to it, and I've been hooked ever since. And I think the first time you get introduced to one of the art forms, it has a way of hooking you in. It's an undeniable thing that draws you. And for me, that's what did it.
I grew up on the 4 elements of hip-hop, and the 4 elements of hip-hop, to quote Crazy Legs, graffiti being the black sheep of hip-hop because it's the least understood, DJing being the loyal child of hip-hop because it always does its job, MCing being the spoiled child of hip-hop because it's the youngest and it gets the most attention, and in my element, breakdancing, which is the bastard child of hip-hop because there's no father to its stop.
From the back to the front, left to the right. Hold tight, red one, soon find the mic. From the front to the back, left to the right. Hold tight, the misfit about to rock the mic. It's just a sole obligation to clench your mic and lecture, and poetry is my occupation. I'm always eager, getting through like a Greenvo with foresight to bring back minds and with the string. Grapple and tackle lyrical linebacker made the play. So now the crowd have to compliment my supplementary angle tangled up. Never ever have a buff minds, precipitous justice. It's always brought to a mic in my vicinity. So it's a must I come full-fledged and never flimsy. With all the power I possess, there's no need for exponents. Moving the earth with my rhyme, like plate tectonics. All weak shit, better make it curfew or get permanent. The eclipse by my super entity. And that means calamity is destined to fall on thee.
If you're passionate about something, your pursuit of knowledge is, or seeking it is there, okay? Now you can't find it in the libraries, you can't find this anywhere.
Obviously there was no commercial radio, college radio was the thing. CIUT, CKLN, you gotta give respect to Ron Nelson because he was the pioneer to me. Not only did he have the #1 shows for hip hop, but he was a promoter of hip hop.
Roxanne Shante is in the place. She's gonna tear it up in a minute, all right?
Let you know that Shantae's the best. Top MC, that's who I am. Let's get reggae, I don't give a damn.
Back then, to be a DJ, you made your name breaking records. I'm the first one to drop this record, and that's how you made a name. And Ron was the guy who dropped new records before anybody, right? So anybody who went down to New York, you came back with stuff, you go right to Ron, and he'd break it on air for you. Like, he's a godfather in the sense that he's the one with the vision that seen us going on, taking this to radio. He's like our red alert.
Hip-hop is definitely live this year more than any other year, and it's good to see the Canadian artists putting themselves on the map. Elements of style, that's gonna be a hit. Bet you any money it's gonna be a hit, and that's on the compilation record by Beat Factory Productions and Street Beat. Rumblin' Strong's work are in there as well as Street Beat stuff's on the B side. What's this? Toronto is on wax. Yeah, we know it, and it's only gonna get better. The new Kenny Crush on its way down to the Patent Boys program. Listen to that.
The landscape for Toronto urban radio at the time was there really was no Canadian urban radio. WBLK from Buffalo was our urban radio. We loved it. We couldn't get enough of WBLK. The only problem was it was American, not Canadian. They didn't care about our identity, our artists. our movement. It was kind of a nice thing when a radio station came along. As tiny a signal as it had, it didn't really matter, but for the first time it created an umbrella for people to meet, for people to connect.
That was my very first place where I had my interview. And he said like, yo man, that's Melody MC, because that's my old rap name. Melody MC, man, he's 15 and damn, he's good. And I never forgot that. Up to now, I still remember that. The real, true maestro orchestrating everything out of CKLN 88.1.
I couldn't get enough of that urban music. Didn't wait on distribution, didn't wait on the radio station. At the radio station, you have a record library. It's a big room full of records. They had a few things from Run DMC and Houdini, and a lot of the stuff was really weird that I didn't like. If you wanted to really please the people, you gotta go out and get your own shit.
And now you can't just go to a record store in Toronto and pick up Rakim's record. They don't have it. They don't even know what you're talking about.
Those top-notch record stores weren't thinking hip-hop. The music industry, period, wasn't thinking hip-hop. They thought it was a fad. They thought it was, next year this is going to be gone.
You'd have people going to Buffalo because there were some record distributors in Buffalo. You'd have people traveling to New York City.
The whole thing about accessing music that we heard on the radio in Canada was a whole different level of difficulty that it was for American record stores to get those same pieces of vinyl. So we had to go through a lot more trouble and wait a lot more as DJs and travel a lot more to find those record stores.
How many records? I guess about 2,500 to 3,000.
And when you don't get records from the record company, where do you go to get records?
Usually Play-D. They've got the best selection, the best hip-hop selection.
The DJs in the store were into hip-hop. They say this is good, we should bring so-and-so. Do it.
That propelled him to another level. Just word of mouth saying, hey, Play the Record has this, Play the Record has that.
I remember it being a place where I got all my records, not only for a radio show, but for clubs and DJ bookings. I mean, that was the place where I went to get everything for the week.
My mom was never the type to give an allowance, but she used to give me like $20 a week for me to go and buy records because she knew how much that I loved hip hop. So I remember, grabbing the Beat Nuts and Far Side and, all the other stuff that was out at that time. Like that was actually also something that inspired us because we were like, yo, that's who we wanted to be like.
And bringing this stuff that every, popular DJ was playing, I think really had that role in being able to shape Toronto's scene and strengthen it and actually place us on the map.
And that's how the hip-hop and the electronic music were going together. And it was all underground.
It became expensive to buy records because, you're buying house and you're buying hip-hop at the same time, but there was just so much of both and everything was there. Like you can get everything there.
So as a reggae selector, you just go to the reggae record stores. You know what I mean? Try to get as much songs as you can, but everybody's going there, so you miss out. Now you miss out. You don't have the songs. You need to mash up the place. Where's the record now? Just go to Play the Record, man. Why? Just go. They have reggae too. And you go there and behold, bro, there's the Shabba, bro. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't so much, that two little small rap. Me was like that of 45s, you know what I mean? And you sprinkle of 12 inches here and there, but they were there. You know what I mean?
It had really good music and that was well curated and people who knew about that music and who could be like, oh, you're into this, check this out.
That was the difference between, going to just a regular record store and Play the Record. And they had good stuff, right? They had local DJs that knew what they're doing, working there.
One thing I look for is like young guys who's hungry, who love music, and probably will do anything for music.
I went in a couple of times, looked around and saw what he had. I said I would love to work here. And he said, yeah, sure.
Then I went over to Eugene's, I played a record and asked him if I could do co-op. And at the time he was kind of like, I don't need anyone else, and I was like, it's free. And he was like, okay.
For class, they actually made us write out
a proposal for why we should be able to do, why we think we're suitable to do co-op in your establishment. And I walked in there with all this thing in my mind. I said, "Excuse me, sir, can I please do my co-op in your store?" And Eugene looked at me and he said, "Okay."
Some people that got the job there because they were big top DJs. People would come follow them at parties and come buy records off them. Other people ended up coming as like co-op students. And I just came out of being a customer.
They said, "Hey, why don't you come by? Eugene wants to talk to you." And so Eugene talked to me and said, "Hey, it'd be nice if you could, work here."
They all shop here, all the top DJs, like Chris Shepard, Headley, Wayne Williams, Mike Devine, Dr. No, Paul Lopez, DJ X.
So initially, when I started working at Play the Record, I had an in to getting what was going to be a hit way before I even got to the store. And then a lot of times I knew a lot of producers that would give me their songs on DAT, like a master, and they would send it to me and they'd say, "Here, play it." It was in their best interest, so if they were to give it to me, I would break it on radio, to the clubs, so that when the record came out, it would sell out within seconds.
Record bitch. That was my original position. Put away vinyl, label vinyl, price vinyl, write those little stupid signs that you guys used to steal, just rip off and throw it. That was my job originally. I began to see some of the best DJs in the city, how they were shopping for vinyl, how they were listening to vinyl, what was making them buy a piece of vinyl. And I started to really become a student of the game and watch. I mean, this is Toronto. We have a million great DJs here. Dave Cooper, Jason Palma, Medicine Muffin, everybody. And these are the people that were just on staff alone. Kenny Glasgow, like people were there, like the best of the best.
By that time, I had been coming to Plady for a few years, and I had become really friendly with Eugene and Peter and Tyrone and Aki, and I was starting to DJ, and I was starting to make my name in the underground scene. Aki went to bat for me and said, "You should get Jason, he's pretty knowledgeable." So then Eugene asked me, and he goes, "We'll try you out. We'll try you out a couple days."
A couple days turned into
20-something years, I guess, right? Or longer, yeah, it's a long time. 20-something years, yeah.
And I've told him this, and I've told lots of people this, that I think he has the best ears in the city, even back then.
He knows his stuff, man. Like, that guy knows records.
He would pull out stuff that was just like, he goes, "Oh, just take this, you're gonna like it." I said, "Okay," and then you got home, you're just like, "Shit, this is like, yeah, crazy." I mean, his taste in music was also like, don't even listen to it, just buy it.
That guy studies music every night. He knows what's going on, he's DJs. He really brought a lot to the table, and he's a good DJ.
And Eugene was smart. He loved music, but he didn't know everything. It couldn't know everything. Nobody can know everything. But he wanted to get the people in there that he knew other people respected. So when he hired Aki, he knew Aki knew the young kids that wanted house. Hired Peter and Tyrone, he knew that. When he hired Junior, he knew Junior knew the kids who wanted hip hop records. And then he saw that I knew what I was talking about. He saw that I had a knack for showing kids records and selling records, because Eugene had a thing. He's like, "Okay, you gotta push records, push them," because he wanted to sell records, right? Like Eugene loved the records, but he loved the business. He was trying to make money.
I was pushing her, "Hey, we gotta sell, we got 100 of this record," and they're not selling, man. I can't pay you guys, man. Let's sell, man, and then they would go.
Back then, the culture was a little bit different. One record could literally make a difference in your entire night as a DJ. That's what my job was, is to find out what that record is.
And then you'd have to listen to somebody play the song on the phone, and you'd hear, just by listening to it, whether it's good or not, right? And that's how you'd order.
On top of ordering, you have to order smart, because, if I was saying we're going to move 30 of that and it just sat in the shop, well, then he's not going to trust you anymore. You had to guess, you know what, I can move 10 of that. I can move 20 of that.
The people that worked in the store didn't just like, I focus on this and anything else is like, if I like it, I'll know about it. If I don't care about it. Regardless of what your specialty was, you had to know music.
But all of us working together with, especially these guys, the youth and them, they were pushing me, man. And I was going for it too, because I wanted to succeed, right?
call it the Play the Record alumni. Like, honestly, now looking back on it, so many amazing, talented people came out of that school in a sense.
You know, the knowledge that I gained from working there, that was my pay. You know, I mean, Eugene, I owe it all to Eugene. What I have now, you know, is I learned everything about the record store business and selling records from him. So, you know, that was my pay.
There was also, though, a whole movement going on in the urban areas. Like in Scarborough, we had Mike's Music Shop. And in Eglinton West, we had like Monica's Records and, you know, a few others that pioneered the idea of you sell more records if you have a good sound system in the record store. It's like you're seeing a DJ.
Play the Record had this similar concept where I would be playing the records and the DJs would be there. I say, yeah, that's pretty good. I have to really know the song, the breaks, the best part of the song, so that I can sell the music to them, right?
You can hear it before you see it. You know, that was the beauty about Play the Record. You know, you can hear it from the street and you don't really know where the music is coming from.
Whoever was available and could handle the heat would be behind the turntables at the deck and be like, album cut, 12-inch, remix of a big song.
They played loud. When you play it loud, it sounds better. Right? Because I know some of the customers always tell me the same thing. They say, man, the store played some songs and it was so good, man. But when I got home, songs sound like shit. But I don't know, you know what I mean?
This is a place where everybody can come and have an opportunity to listen to new beats.
Well, Star Sound was there at the time, and Carnival Records, right? So they were my competition at that time. And then I think Carnival closed, and then Star Sound started. I don't know what happened, you know. And then then it switched to George took it over, and became Trax.
There was Play the Record and Star Sound, which later became us. I never worked when it was Star Sound, and I would just, you know, like every kid, you go hop, but I only had I was going downtown. Going downtown in itself was an adventure, number one, because I was never downtown. And I would just literally go Carnival, Play the Record, Star Sound, just bang, 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 bang. And you're going into this record store, you're like, all these big dog DJs are there, and you're like, whoa, wow, okay, this is what they do. And then you look at the price tag, and you're like, okay, $7. And I'm like, oh, I need money to get home. I need to eat something. Okay, I can take away the eating. I got to get home still. And Plady just became my normal because that's where all my age friends were going. Because they were, you know, they were cool. It was family owned. Big difference. Even though Eugene's dad looked like he wants to kill everybody in the store when you walk in, when you get to know them, super cool. You know what I mean? The mom, super cool. Eugene and Donna, amazing. But my relationship with Trax was because of George, who owned Trax, was part owner of Trax Shakedown. Because I'd been using Shakedown for so long at that point, and I was very close with George.
He owned a rental company, Shakedown Sounds. So a lot of people used to rent off him for all sorts of stuff, whether it was turntables, mixers. And he also used to DJ himself. So I've known him for a long time.
On the right-hand side of me is the legend, the owner of Trax Records. George, what's going on? What influenced you to open up the shop?
Well, we got an opportunity to mix DJ equipment sales and records together. And we all know every DJ needs equipment. So I guess we combined with me and Ahmed over there to open a store that, you know, we can have where equipment can do all their buying all at one place.
Yeah, so the difference between George and Eugene, I think Eugene was kind of like your uncle, or your older brother. George is he's very business oriented. Both great guys, but both very, very different.
Biggest heart in the world, would do anything for you when you're on his side, but also the guy that if he doesn't like what you do will tell you you're an idiot, you're an asshole, what the fuck you doing, get the fuck out of my store. But by the same token, he's that guy, if he loves you, he'll give you the biggest hug in the world and make sure you get that record. So put that into a big ball and roll it down the bowling alley, and that's George.
Star Sound was the only ones around. You should have never let Eugene come on board, honestly. Like, I mean, it's just like any competition. If you can bury them, bury them.
Star Sound was having a hard time, and he kind of convinced Star Sound to sell them Star Sound.
He asked me if I was interested to get involved with him in this record store, and I thought, you know, hand in hand, DJs, records, audio, perfect mix.
DJs, get on the right track with Trax. Trax, Canada's largest dance music and DJ equipment emporium.
Well, we took Peter and Tyrone from Play D, so that was a big thing from us at the beginning. Getting Peter and Tyrone was big.
Overnight, it happened. Tell Eugene, you know, we're going over, we're leaving, we got to go to the store, Trax, and we're going. Obviously, Eugene was sad.
When George came on, he took Peter to his store. So cool, all right.
You know, and it was nothing against Eugene or anything. I just needed to change.
But they were going to basically run my store, right? So they were going to be like management. So they had control of what they ordered, and I think they liked that.
And this is where the politics of the record stores got very interesting. You had Shams down at Play to Record, and then you had Peter and Tyrone up the street doing the ordering at Trax. The three of them happened to be these incredible DJs that had a DJ crew called Peter, Tyrone, and Shams. If they wanted, they could theoretically bring in enough records for each of them to have a copy and no one else in the city to have a copy. This became a very frustrating situation for me, though Eugene would, in many cases, put his foot down to make sure that I was getting what I wanted.
I wasn't a DJ. I wanted to get the music out there. I play no politics, and, you know, if I get a few records, I will hold it for maybe Chris Shepard and Headley for the radio shows, you know, because if those guys play it, people like it, I'm going to sell more.
It's Chris Shepard on your radio, feeling all right.
They have to be taken care of first. It would make no sense for 15 copies of an exclusive record to come in and you're giving it to the quote-unquote basement DJs, and then the record just sits and dies till the next week. You got to wait another week till it comes in, right? So we had to take care of the big dogs. That's the game.
But I don't know. When I think back, if you had the record only, you're probably, you know, the king, right?
You get to keep everything because you need to see what to reorder. You would only order one to sample it, to see if you need to reorder some of them for the following week.
They were saying, oh, we didn't know if the record was good, but they knew the record was good. They just didn't want anybody to have it. They wanted to be the first guys to play it. You know, we had little arguments here and there with the staff with that shit.
Peter and Tyrone left, and Trax opened. Trax was Star Sound, turned into Trax. George bought it, and then there was a price war.
He was a tough guy too. He was very competitive also.
Went down a little bit in price because we're behind a store, man. Who's gonna find us?
I guess if you own the building like he supposedly did, that's just, I don't know for facts, but you can get away with that. But if you're giving 15% off, then $1 off, after a while all that shit adds up. You're only making like $2 a record.
Not only were the records $6.79, but everybody wanted a discount. Everybody thought they should get a discount. And it got to the point where Gene's like, I can't. It's already $6.50 or $6.79. Like, it was crazy. There was loyal customers to both shops. But at the end of the day, everybody just wanted the damn records.
Play to Record and Trax were very much neck and neck.
Keep in mind, you're talking about, you know, a Starbucks being right next to a Tim Hortons. They were literal walking distance from each other on the same street, on the same side of the street.
They were right up the street, so I mean, you'd go to one, then you'd go to the other.
I would go to Trax first. That was my first stop.
I would make the trek up the street as well, too. So, you know, you go to different places, but Plady was definitely a staple for me as far as the records that I buy. There's plenty of red and white bags around my parents' house still to this day.
Eugene's obviously closer to like the actual like
where I would get off on the subway.
Exactly.
So I would go to play D first and then walk up to tracks. So it was always like something snarky to say, you know, like.
Yeah, oh, Grouch, I'm gonna battle you, you know. You don't know about me.
Yeah, straight up.
He'd be like, back in my Gino days, you know, like, and all this stuff. So, like, well, okay, whatever, dude. But I love George. Shout out to George.
Respect to George and Ahmed for opening up tracks. Another thing is they have a wide selection of DJ tapes. Included in there is my tape, Tricky Morera, and it's a Dance Nation version. Pick it up at Tracks Records.
So Plady is obviously known for records and for 12-inch singles and etc. Funk, house, hip-hop. But what people might not know about Play the Record was the mixtape era.
That was a huge part of our revenue. After you get past the porn and everything, the first thing you see is the mixtape wall.
Those mixtapes were like the first time you heard stuff. Heard music, heard verses, heard of artists.
They'd be a calling card. DJs would create mixtapes to showcase the kind of sounds they'd play and how they mixed them.
I would buy Jason Palma cassettes, Jojo Flores. I would buy drum and bass CDs and mixtapes from there.
My guy Neil Armstrong from New York, he was like, I need to go to Play the Record because he needed to break off Eugene with some mixtapes. If you don't have your mixtapes at Play D, you're not hitting your target audience.
Oh, I did a mixtape. He goes, how many copies do you have? I said, oh, I don't know, I did 30 copies. Okay, give me all 30. Oh, I said, okay. So it was like, and I know some of these, like the hip hop guys, they were just like selling out the door.
I lent one of my tapes to a buddy at school and he really liked it. And he's like, can you make me a tape? I got way too much homework. I got too much going on. That's not happening. He used to cut hair, so he always had money. And he's like, I'll pay you. Pay me? He's like, yeah, I'll give you $10. $10, that's a new 12-inch. So 12-inch and lunch. You know, he loved it. And then his friends copied it and went around the school. This is in high school. And, you know, before I know it, I'm doing Sweet 16s and high school dances. And I kind of just stumbled into it as a fan.
I have all this vinyl, I want to make a mixtape. So I started trying to make mixtapes for just my friends and myself. There's like, yo, listen to my tape, listen to my demo, please listen to my demo. You know what I mean? Got feedback from people. The girls like the R&B. Oh, do you have this song? Do you have this song? One tape turned into a whole empire, but that's more for the story.
When I say baby, y'all say blue.
And I did it on a Victoria Day long weekend. That was the weekend that you wanted to get mixtapes in people's hands because it was like the official start to the summer. And this is probably what you're gonna bump. If you liked a mixtape and you got it on May 2-4 weekend, it was gonna bump all summer. I used to like distribute to friends and then I began like selling them. I knew that, okay, I needed to get in to the spot where the big DJs had their tapes.
A couple of DJs came in and approached me and said, hey, can we sell some mixtapes? And I was like, okay, sure, why not? We'll help boost sales for the mixtapes and also pay for the high property taxes. And one of those DJs' names was Mastermind.
At the time, there was a group of DJs who were already tastemakers in the city. Mastermind's one of them. DJ X is the other one. And if you're an aspiring DJ, you want to be one of these two guys.
When it came to hip hop, there is no competition. When it came to hip hop, there was Mastermind. You know what I mean? Mastermind laid the pavement down when it came to hip hop.
Shockness in the house. 21 years. It'll be. You need to recognize and realize 21 years of pure bullshit. It makes me wanna bang my heads off the walls and do some shit like orchestrate swarms in the malls mentality. It's not where it should be. When you see red and white lights break the night skies, reflection of a madman in the tear out. Another brother dies, another in handcuffs. Mother's knees sought to buckle up before when they see their child outline in chalk silence. Broken but shot.
There he is, yo. The man, Mastermind.
I was introduced to hip-hop through breakdancing. Saw it downtown at Eaton Center at a young age. I heard somebody blasting hip-hop breakdance music at the time, I guess is what it was known for, on his radio. And I was like, yo, where do you get this? Where do you find this? And he told me about a radio show, Saturday afternoons, 1 to 4 on 88.1.
Mastermind was just a young kid who used to call into the radio show, and I liked this guy because he was able to name songs. Whenever I quizzed people, he would be that guy that would get all the name of the songs. Eventually, we developed a friendship.
I was always making tapes for people. We always say, hey, make me a tape, make me a tape. So my girlfriend would get a tape. Some of my best friends would get tapes, so they would get dubs of the tapes that I would make. Two Black Guys clothing store, they were probably the first place that I ever put any tapes for sale. They're selling out so quick at Two Black Guys. There's other places I can start selling them. You know, there's barber shops, and then there's a couple of record stores. Played a record and tracks. I went and saw Eugene one fateful day, and it kind of blew up from there.
He came to our store and he liked what we were doing and became friends, and he kind of hooked me up with some guys in New York. You know, those guys kept me abreast with some of the music.
He literally was like, yo, sold out. Yo, I need more. And the one advantage that I had, and I think that might have been above and beyond all the other guys, is I had a radio show.
Mastermind Street Jam. Street Jam.
And so I used my radio show to promote that I had tapes and where they were being sold. They just started to fly out of Eugene's store. And so even in hindsight, the majority, like the most, were being sold out of Play the Record.
We continue with the freestyles. This is a part of the Let's Make a Record Deal series that's on the album, representing Scar Town, Scar City, Citizen Kane, y'all.
At that point, Play D was also a ticket spot. Any type of event or party that was happening in the city, tickets available at the first place they would say on any roll, any commercial you heard, the first name you'd always hear is Play D Record. It was central. Everybody knew where it was.
It didn't matter if I was doing a reggae show or if I was doing a hip-hop show or if I was just doing a dance. If I sold tickets and I put them on sale at Eugene, I would have to go back to restock that store.
It wasn't uncommon for me to take tickets from other stores and give them to Eugene. You know, I'd call, Shanti Baba on Queen Street. How many tickets do you have left for Erykah Badu? 40. But no, people are coming, people are calling, dude. And I'm like, I need like 30 of them. He's like, let me guess, you're digging Eugene? I'm like, yeah.
Eugene didn't just make money and make a business out of selling records. That's a good part of it. But the other big part of it is selling tickets to parties. You have like 20, 30, maybe even 50 promoters that were doing parties all the way from Hamilton to Pickering, to Ajax, to even Whitby doing parties. They're bringing everybody into this space. And from that space, they're buying records. But what else are they doing when they're coming in the store? If they're not a DJ, they're buying mixtapes. So now you got all these regular masses coming into a shop to buy tickets to their regular parties they want to go to. But then while they're there, they're going to see, oh, the same DJ that I'm going to go to the party has a mixtape, Baby Blue Sound Crew. Like that's how it's all an ecosystem. And Play the Record is the hub of it, which is crazy.
The sounds and energy and all that at Play the Record it was a distinctly different energy on a Thursday because that's when all the new records came in.
The other stores did Friday, but I wanted to have a jump on them. So I decided to try and get the music on Thursday before those guys. Then I have a day and I would go rush down, go and pick it up, bring back, and then I have it before them. Then everybody called and then they start doing it on Thursdays. So that's how Thursdays became well known, right?
We learned that new records came out on Thursdays. Straight in my uniform. I went to a Catholic school, so straight downtown, in my uniform, straight to the record store, straight to Play D.
When you get out downtown, it's like, I'm here. You walk in and yeah, you see different faces, you see people on the come up, you see people that you want to be.
And you knew what they were there for, because Thursday was the day.
You guys are getting it wrong. Thursday starts on Monday. Monday, you gotta get your orders in. Monday, all week you've been writing song titles down on this little piece of paper, collecting from your stratosphere of information. And then Thursday comes, boxes arrive.
My shift would start at 3, I'd make sure I'm there for 2.
George would come back from Buffalo, and everybody knew this. The same with Eugene. Everybody knows what time they're coming through from the border.
Eugene would be picking up the records in Buffalo. He would pick them up at around 2 o'clock. He'd arrive at the store at 4.
And it was a race. It was a race to see who would get from Buffalo to Toronto faster.
We'd be there looking at each other sometimes, you know. Customs, and we just give it a stare down. I used to never talk to him. He used to never talk to me.
Hopefully I come back early enough so that there's no chaos. Because those guys, DJs, man, they're hungry. Well, if I come back early, then that's great. You know, everybody start working, pricing records, and then get everything ready and then bringing it out. But if I come late, then it get chaotic because DJs coming, hey, what's going? And as soon as we pull out the record, everybody grabbing records, and like we didn't even price the record yet. We didn't check it in. You know what I mean?
You kind of went in there, you're a little bit nervous, you would say hi to people, but I was most concerned about getting the records that I wanted to get.
If you had certain records, like, you know, I participated in a DJ competition for Psychosis, and this was like in 1992, and I lost because of one record. Roughneck played this one Suburban Race promo, and it was the biggest record that was out at the time. He just literally played it, and the place went crazy, and I lost the competition. So that's like how important having like certain music was.
All the other DJs are there, so you're meeting whoever and whatever, and you're waiting for your pile of records to come out. That's if you got a pile.
There's the 10 main guys that come in, the 10 big DJs, make them bags. So they don't have to fight for the records. So if we had 10 copies of a house record, they went in 10 bags.
Okay, there's tick, 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 tick. So now we got 7 records left. Okay, and I take my deep breath and I peek around the wall like this, see who's in there.
Nobody knows who you are. Chances are you're just gonna get what's left over at the bottom of the barrel of like vinyl that came in.
And there's a pecking order. You kind of move your way up and you get your stand, you get some notoriety. People start seeing your name on a flyer a lot and they're like, oh, because the flyers are in the stores, the posters are in the stores, and that's you. They go to the parties and they're like, oh, that's you.
This is when you weren't at the respect level. I wasn't at the respect level yet where he's just giving me a bag. Eventually, I got to respect level. Okay, Power's got a bag. So, but at first, you don't get that bag. So you're fighting.
Sometimes you got elbowed as you were trying to fight for some new vinyl.
It was like Lord of the Flies. They would come out of the back with the records, and they're trying to put the records on the shelves, and like if it was like a hot 12-inch like Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity, people are grabbing the records out of whoever's stocking the shelves' hands before they can even get on the shelf.
Yeah, I saw fist fights. They would come out with records and people were grabbing like crazy. So it was intense but beautiful at the same time, if that makes sense. Like being there was, you knew you were experiencing something. You know, they use this term FOMO, right? If you weren't at Play the Record on Thursday, you feared that you missed something because the vibe and the intensity was crazy.
Man, just for music, man.
I met everybody there. People that I still consider friends to this day, like DJs on the scene, aspiring DJs, DJs that were already, you know, doing things, and yeah, we all had that. It was a community vibe.
It's sort of like Cheers, right? You walk in, you know somebody.
There's the equivalent of Norm walking in from Cheers, you know, like
you would see all the DJs once a week. So, you know, Son of Soul, rest in peace. Like we would see Son of Soul there, and he was such a great mentor to me and so many other DJs. He would put us on to so many other records because, you know, he was OG, and he would see us and be like, wow, these guys are like taking this seriously, let me help them. He was very generous with his time and his knowledge. But he wasn't the only one. There was so many other DJs, Dale Evans.
Starting from scratch, Mastermind.
You know, Chris Shepard was there. You'd see Headley.
Or whether it be Skimpy Boy, or whether it be the Baby Blue Guys, or any number of the huge, significant house DJs.
The mixtape DJs, the radio DJs, the club DJs, like the strip club DJs, like everybody would find their way to play the record. Guys were doing missions, driving from Buffalo, from Detroit, from New York City, just to come get their record fix and play the record, you know?
So, Chris, how often do you come down here?
Oh, you've got to make sure you're here at least every Thursday. Sometimes twice a week.
So is Thursday the day that all the records come in?
Thursday's the day. We're here a little bit early. The records should be just coming in right now. But
so
it's
literally, it's like waiting at the dock for the fish to come in?
That's it. It's wicked,
Wow.
you know? Actually, I think the records have arrived. We beat the fish to the pond. Oh, see? This is it. This is it. The shipment has arrived. Where are the DJs? Security! There's the guy responsible.
We used to do charts in the store. Medicine, my friend, used to run the drum and bass. Jason Palmer, hip hop. I did the reggae. Ernest Adams from the Outlaws did soca, and Elvis did the dance stuff. I had a second location in Scarborough, and we used to do warehouse sales there. I used to do some booby traps, right? I'll put like a Puff Daddy album or Notorious B.I.G. and the sale will be like $2, and people, $2? I remember doing the next one, and it was a big lineup, like over 100 people around the block going down, what road was it? Lawrence Avenue.
Eugene opened up a store at Scarborough, and what's great is like I lived on Lawrence. I lived at Morningside. I lived like around the corner from where we are right now, actually. To hear you open up a spot in Scarborough down the street from me, I was like, yo, this is amazing.
My brother asked me, he said, you know, we have an opportunity to build a business in Scarborough, and I said, sure, I'll try it out.
It's a lot smaller, less hectic version of downtown. The interactions were a little more calm, to say, but it was a great experience, and like being at the store kind of became my home, and people knew to check me there. To me, it was ultimately the dream job.
The first time I came to Play the Record, I believe, was when I came to Toronto for a DJ battle. All we knew is like let's get a hotel as close to Play the Record as we can. So we stayed at the Marriott on Yonge, that was like, you know, just above, I don't know where it was. It was crazy because when you're a kid from Halifax coming to Toronto, everything seems so far away, and now it's like next door. Yeah, I remember the first time I walked in to Play the Record. At that time, they had a lot of illicit material in the front. Or what? I don't know if it was illicit. It looked like a porn shop at the front, and I was like, "What's going on here? Is this the right place?" You know, I feel a little shy. Actually, I brought one record today that I found there the first day I was there. I found a copy of Lord Finesse, The Awakening, and I've been looking for this because there was a copy of this that had the instrumentals in it as well. And I also later found out that's DJ Mastermind's tag. So this is Mastermind's copy of this. I remember I brought it to the cache. Eugene looked at it and he said, "Where you find that?" And I was like, "It was over there." I don't know. I still to this day. Eugene, do I owe you this? I don't know. But this was I found that record the first time I was there, and I was just amazed that I found that there. I was super hype, and I'll always remember that first visit to Play the Record. So we knew about Play the Record from watching Much Music. I almost want to say like on Rap City, they'd have like before commercials, they would roll something like saying it's available, or you know, and like on Extendamix, DC's picks.
Well, Master T and Dave, his DJ Dave Campbell, they were looking for sponsors. They approached me. They said, "Can you sponsor this show?" And then Much Music goes all over Extended Mix, Rap City. They go all over Canada.
You're with Canada's first and only music television network, Much Music, the nation's music station.
I developed a relationship with Much Music
from when I was used to dance with Missy. Right? And there's a girl there named Michelle Geister. If you're talking about Ron Nelson, you have to talk about Michelle Geister because she basically brought hip hop to much music. So just think about the old rap cities and all that, that's all Michelle Geister. As important Ron Nelson is, Michelle Geister is just as important, maybe per se, might be even more important.
I actually tried to get her for this.
She's in Jamaica. I can get her on the phone for you if you need that, but.
Ready, mommy?
I think my DJing days really started with my first turntable, which was about 11 years old. Even back as a preteen, I was a vinyl junkie. When I babysat, that's what I got as rewards or gifts from the people I babysat for, was vinyl. My roommate, Karen Young, and myself were asked by the infamous Tasmanian Ballroom to play in their basement dance floor.
So Paulie Lopez is somebody, for example, who would tell me a lot about Michelle. And she really knew her music, and she was out there with her records, but she was also on the TV side of things.
Music, television, Much Music was just starting, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. I moved to Toronto, and I was just determined I would get a job there. One of my classmates did get a job, and she called me to say they were looking for someone, a technician position. I had been making television since I was in high school.
Welcome to another edition of Soul in the City. Well, it's not just another edition of Soul in the City. Here we're going to endeavor to show you some of the various forms of house music.
Soul in the City was a video version of a radio program that the host and creator, Michael Williams, had done previously when he lived in Montreal. You know, my official title was associate producer, but I wrote, I researched, I produced, I directed, and Soul in the City was so exciting and it was so well received, but out of a music station that was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it was only 1 hour. And at the time, hip hop was starting to blow up.
Oh, no doubt. Maestro and Missy Me, Dream Warriors, at that time, and Rumble, they set the tone for Toronto, Canadian hip hop.
Yeah, Maestro was a huge influence on Rascals, Missy Me, and Rumble. All these records, they reached us like 100%, and we were fully influenced by it, and we were watching like, oh, what's going on over there, right?
Eventually, I was lucky enough to get the call and hear that, yes, you can start working on a program. And in September 1989, we had our first half-hour edition of Rap City.
Funky. Back then, people more watched TV. There was no streaming online, it was like more cable. So everybody paid attention to Rap City at the time. That was a big deal back then.
Like a DJ wanted to have that exclusive vinyl, I wanted to be the one to debut a video that no one else had seen.
As soon as you see your boy on it, or as soon as you were on it, that was the superstar status. That's when you felt like a star.
And I actually remember when it dropped, and it came after a Shaquille O'Neal video. And I remember that, and I'm thinking, here's this NBA superstar doing his hip hop thing, and me, back to back. And I knew the rest of the country was watching it with me, man. It was amazing. It was literally a dream come true, because I had been dreaming about that happening like since I was a little kid.
We were promoting the music, and they could go to Play the Record and find everything they wanted there.
Anything that was playing or anything that was premiered, whether it was MTV or Much Music, we had to have.
We did the promo, they did the sales. I would say it would have been how things worked. And I really do give props to Eugene for, you know, doing what he's done for so long. Hip-hop music has had its challenges in Canada. It's always been hard. In more recent years, Drake, you know, The Weeknd have blown up into huge stars. It wasn't always like that.
The last 12 months have been good and bad for Toronto rap group Ghetto Concept. On Sunday, the group collected their second Juno in 2 years.
Last year we went without a video, without major label support and all of that, and we surprised everybody. This year we had a video, we did a tour across Canada.
We started driving down there, I want to say it was in Hamilton or something that year. And we drove and we got there and they had already won and we were at the top of the like escalator or whatever it is and they were just actually coming from wherever it is taking photos and they're like, yo, we won. And we're like, what? Like, seriously? You know, if you equate that to like a Grammy, right? If you're saying, okay, well, these two won back to back, you would think that a label or somebody would be coming to you to say, hey, you know, let's work or let's do something, right? So it didn't really happen. I mean, it happened, but it didn't really morph into what you would think it would, right? So
we're trying to get out there. We're trying to be seen. And at the same time, you know, we're at the status. We're winning the same Junos that other people in there are winning. It's the same Juno. So, I mean, why don't we get the same props?
We had Maestro Fresh Wes. He was probably one of the few outside of Dream Warriors that made big tracks and trails for us. But again, after their run.
So you'd think it'd kind of pick up from there, but it didn't. It was like there was this lull, and I think the Canadian music industry just treated it like a fad.
With my album done, complete, I put it in front of them, and they told me, how do you expect this to make any money? It's not geared towards white kids. And I'm like, well, it's not meant to be geared towards white kids. It's hip hop, right? It's geared towards ghetto kids, right? He goes, well, that doesn't sell records. And I go, how much do you expect it to sell? He goes, well, you'll be lucky if you sold 5,000 records. I go, so if I put this album up myself and I sold 5,000 records, you sign me. He goes, well, if you sell 5,000 records of this, I'll sign you tomorrow. I put it out and sold 20,000 records. And I came back to him and he still didn't sign me.
Black music wasn't really embraced to that extent. You know, it wasn't as equal as some of the other forms of music were. So I don't think people really realized the potential that hip hop had.
It was underground to the mainstream, but it wasn't underground to the youth. It really was a fresh new movement. There was just the system who had decided how much we could get.
It took a lot to put out a record. It was expensive. It was a big process.
To record a song, you'd have to pay $100 an hour at a studio. It would take you 4 hours to record a song. And then that song had to be mastered. To master that song, it takes 4 hours, right? So that's $800 recording and mastering the song. And then you have to do an album with 12 songs.
We only became producers out of necessity. Like, we couldn't afford to buy other people's beats. It's not like we were like, yo, let's be producer rappers. We're like, well, we can't afford to pay Scam or pay DJ X or anybody else that was producing at the time. So we're like...
Plus, you had to manufacture. Guys don't have to do it now because they just download it.
We weren't doing it for the money. Absolutely not, because to us, if you gave us $150, like, we would have been ecstatic. It wasn't for the money. It wasn't for anything other than the pure love of hip hop and wanting to be MCs.
Therefore, that's where you get the independent labels, Steppin' Bigger, Groove a Lot, do our own stuff, and then hopefully send it down to New York and maybe one of those DJs will play it, or maybe overseas, Japan, you know.
I saw people coming in bringing mixtapes and then bringing their own cassettes of their own stuff. The quality wasn't so hot, right? Like, then I had an idea. I was thinking, why don't I help out these guys?
Nobody even knew there was a basement that played a record, let alone that they were working on building a studio.
It was just dark and the stairs were creaky and there's like...
And like the light bulb was kind of flashing, and you know, there's just boxes of records everywhere.
There was so much shit back there. Like, I don't know how they had space for it all.
And then the studio, you'd walk into the studio and it was, you know, nothing elaborate. It was all, you know, built by everybody. Stepping bigger as a business was 3 people. Eugene, John Bronski, and Too Rude was kind of the in-house producer bringing these acts and stuff.
First artist was Apple and Orange, and he gave me a little sample, and I was like, well, maybe I can help you out. And then Rude came with the beats, and that's how we all met. This is my second release, Freaks of Reality. So then, he played me Saukrates and like a bunch of stuff, and Saukrates caught my, you know, my ear. Oh, John Bronski brought it to me. Yeah, and we listened to it, and I was like, we need to do something with this guy.
Back then, we were like, if anybody's gonna make it and really, you know, put Toronto on the map, it was gonna be him.
I really judged a record sonically. How's that rapper's voice sound, right? Like, does he have a cool voice? That's why I think me and a lot of DJs were like, yo, Saukrates is ill.
You know, we were all, you know, gonna record this freestyle. So, you know, Marvel went in, did his thing. I went and did my thing. You know, Sox went in, and we heard this guy on the mic. We're like, yo, who is that? When his voice got on a real microphone and they were able to pick up the sonics, life was never the same after seeing him go into the booth for the first time and coming out.
Hate runs deep in the hearts of many.
Hate runs deep in the guts of all, cause your hate can judge your fate.
When gun sprays at nighttime, cause it's the right time for wrong. Index fingers touch rewind as my aura propels your mind, fake leaving behind fake visions. You're blind cause it's hard to find. Lyrics flood the black market more than rock could steal. My stock's hot cause it's realer than real. When caps peel, pay rent for cement. Mother's heart's getting bent cause nights is trife. It's just chilling like a villain, executing is killing, but there's no blood spilling.
Just a taste.
I don't know if it was Tuesdays or Thursdays, I can't remember. We get on a train, 9th grade, and hit Yonge Street. And we'd first stop and play the record, then scour tracks and the other 2 or 3 that were up the block. Like, we were in it. Plus, but we wouldn't know what it was because we had to listen on that Saturday to the stations. And once we knew what they were playing, then we got to go see Eugene to start to get those songs in our own collection. So he had a studio. He got a great engineer in Alex G, and they wanted to do another one, John Bronski said.
Word? Yo, we get to go to play the record, like, never mind, to be honest, never mind, like, the record deal part. We're like, yo, we get to go to play the record?
That's how I connected there. But I've been buying records from Play the Record for 2 years prior to that. So I was familiar with the building, and I knew it was a mecca. So when I got invited to record in the studio of the Mecca,
Yo, live on WKMA, you got your nigga Kool-Aid.
Got Cleat Shakir in the house too, G.
Yo, stepping up, we have that nigga from the east side, Saukrates.
Represent FOS, I heard that shit's fab.
Yo, Saukrates, step up and show them what you can do, nigga.
They get caught in ill positions. Famous quote from me, Saukrates, groupies rock my boat. I used to step like
internationally known, locally accepted. You gotta do both. You do that, you're gone. And Eugene gave me the opportunity to be locally accepted. And once it's pressed on the vinyl, you ship it, then you're internationally known.
For the independent artists to go in to Play the Record and say, hey, Eugene, I got a new record I want to put out, it was a lot more challenging with like an HMV or a Sam the Record Man or whatnot.
You couldn't walk into Sam the Record Man or whatever and say, oh, I put out a new record. Do you guys want to give it a listen? Take a seat in the back or something. I don't know, step outside, we'll call you when we're ready.
So I asked Eugene if I could do a Rap Essentials display. And he was like, oh no, I'll put it in there for you. I'm like, no, I want the whole window. I don't know. Daddy would say no. And I'm like, Eugene, come on, just let me do 1 week. I don't know how it happened, but he said yes.
Yo, when you get the posters, let me know. I'll post it up. When you got the shows, I'll pull out the flyer. He put it right in front so everybody could see it.
The money was always there. My mixtapes were flying sometimes, but he always made sure the bread was straight or like the count was good, or, you know, we always had a section to sell our tapes, and it didn't matter if there was 50 other MCs, you know, trying to sell their mixtapes or whatever. Like, he always made sure we were good inside the spot.
At the time, I remember
You know, my dad, Delroy G, showcasing, bringing the dope, real reggae music to Toronto for years now. When I got my record up there, I was like, oh, I want my record to be just like how when me and my dad rolling through, picking up all these vintage records.
But yeah, when you come in here and you do see Saukrates on the wall, you see the Grassroots on the wall or something like that, you would see, you know that people were making some of those records to get on this wall. So I think that says something about even being the outlet, being the goal for a lot of these people. Mixtapes too. I want my mixtape to be right behind. I want to have that hot spot. Like that environment helps stimulate the art that comes from a city. I think there's a direct connection.
You know, me and Eugene, we were spending like every night, like all day, all night. You know, we slept in the studio some nights.
I remember even when I finished, I was open the store. I didn't even sleep sometimes.
Now, we didn't get too far because it was a financial strain for, you know, the Tam family to have this label that, you know, wasn't, you know, was always in the red.
At that time, you promo DJ Pools stuff, and they would play on the radio and push the stuff if you like it, whatever, right? We promo the stuff, and next thing you know, it was all over on the internet, people downloading, and nobody buying. So that kind of soured me, and I said, you know what, I'm done with this. That was a really rough time.
It was my day off with some friends. I go, let me pop into Play-Doh. I need to grab something from the back or ask Eugene something. I couldn't remember. I walk in and the gate's up. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why is the gate? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It should be closed. The lights are on. I see Eugene in there. I see people in there.
I opened the shop, turned everything on, got everything going in the store.
So I walk down and I start to open the gate. And some guy I don't recognize, some older white guy with a mustache, is like, excuse me, sir. And then I see Eugene over and he just looks at me and he goes, Jason, no, go. Found out obviously later that it was the RCMP that told me not to come in.
25, 30 cops and undercovers said, hold it right there, like to me and the other employee that was there. And I can't remember who was there. I think it was a co-op student, actually, to be honest with you. They said that they're coming for the mixtapes. It was copyright infringement.
And I remember Peter calling me on the phone and go, we just got busted. They're charging me. And I said, okay, Peter, I'm on my way because I was on my way to work. I told him, listen, I'm the owner. You know, you need to charge me. We went through the courts. It got dropped.
I remember I was talking to Kid Cut, and he said, Baby Blue's putting out a new mixtape. And he goes, we're gonna put it on CDs. Man, I don't know if you should do that because now we're putting stuff up on the like top format.
It was a new thing, burning on CDs. So we started burning onto CDs, and then eventually we ended up pressing CDs.
And when they started making CDs, they really started competing with the record labels, and that's what made them take notice, right?
You know, obviously DJs are selling mixtapes without having their approval, but that's all fucked up because at the end of the day, all those DJs that were doing mixtapes were getting free music that the record companies were giving them to promote that.
The record labels would service DJs and record pools. And part of the service was you had to fill out response sheets for the records they were servicing. They wanted to know what you thought of these records. One of the questions on those surveys, on every record that you got, would you put this song on your mixtape?
At the time, there was a culture and that was made up of DJs and tastemakers, independent labels and record shops and the clothing store, and everybody was like working together to build something here. What it felt like to me was like the labels were clearing a runway to do their thing.
You asked me how it affected Eugene. He had to go to court. He had spent thousands upon thousands of dollars to defend himself. And it weighed heavy on him in those years. I know that for sure.
Well, yeah, it was like kind of disheartening because like everybody's doing it. Everybody's selling labels. Well, you know what? I'm not too sure if I feel comfortable about talking about it, but everybody was doing it, and they picked us. You know what I mean? Why us?
His parents had heavy dictation on what was happening. with the business. It was their business as much as it was Eugene's business. Like, and they were there constantly, aware of everything and watching over like hawks what was going on. When the cops came in, that spooked Daddy and Mommy as much as it spooked Eugene. And I think that together eventually is why Eugene asked if I wanted to buy the business.
Sasha was born in 1992. She's a leap year baby. And my son was born in 1995. I didn't get to see them much. I used to be in the store here 12 o'clock. Sometimes I go and pick up stuff, do stuff.
There used to be like a very small office and a kitchen in the back. And my brother and I would do homework there most days.
Yeah, after school, we would come back to the store, waited around until we went home. So we would just eat dinner there, do homework, play around.
I would only see them 12 o'clock at night. They're supposed to be sleeping, but they hide them when they hear me coming.
I would hide at home before my dad would come home and then surprise him. I guess it was just the way, because we didn't really see him for a lot, right?
And like even like if my parents were at the store, I remember trying to stay up till like 11 or 12 when they came back home to like see them, but didn't always work out. I just still think it was like my dad's other child almost, because he was here majority of the time.
You know, I was going every Thursday to pick up records. Records still coming in and they still gotta go out, right? So bringing those two guys in would you know, help.
I was working around the corner at Covenant House and spent any free moment I had in the shop. Got to know Eugene, of course, and Donna. And then Eugene and Donna were now young parents. I think both of them really wanted to be able to focus on their family a bit more, and they were looking for an out. So they mentioned it to Jason, and Jason mentioned it to me.
And one day Eugene came up to me and goes, "We're thinking about selling the business. You interested?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't think I could do it on my own. Nav was my very good friend.
We were just like, yeah, let's do it. Effectively, at that point, we bought Play the Record. Deal was Eugene and Donna stay on for 6 months. You know, consultancy period.
But when Nav and I brainstormed ideas and talked to Eugene got excited and he got a new zest for it and said, "You know what, I'm going to stay."
Thankfully, we devised this schedule that worked for Eugene and Donna to remain. When I look back, I mean, damn, if it got any other way, it would have been a catastrophe.
I could have walked away from the store, you know, but he loves it, so he continues. I think being here all day is not work for him. He loves being here all day, listening to music.
I was always going to like motivational courses and looking at other businesses, thinking, you know, how can I, you know, maybe diverse just in case, you know, something happens to your store, which, you know, some of the stuff I learned, like you set a goal and you do whatever it takes to get that goal. So it doesn't matter if I didn't sleep or whatever, I just go and I try to achieve that goal. And even to this day, I still do the same thing, where if somebody's looking for something, I try my best to try and get it to them. Sometimes the DJs would ask me, bring me a record in the club. I was like, oh, come on, man. You really need this record? But I know the DJ needs it because, you know, one of my things also is the music can't stop. The music gotta keep on going.
I think a lot of how we've been able to maintain and stay at such a high level for so long is a lot of it is how we deal with people. And I did learn a lot of that from him. I got, you know, my asshole side from George, how to not take shit from people. And I got the camaraderie community thing from Eugene. If you asked me like a moment where one started to pull away from the other, I couldn't tell you.
Which Eugene outsold us. 100% I know that for a fact. Yeah, that bothered me. But once I got out of it, I was like, I don't know how old I was in 2000, but it was over. Like I walked away from it. I was good with it. No, it didn't bother me, but during the competition, oh, he used to bother me. He used to bother me. Actually, funny you say that. Eugene bought all my records. Call up Eugene, comes to my dad's house. He went through my records, started nickel and diming here and there. I said, look, Eugene, either you take the whole batch or you don't take it at all. And I took that money and I bought a dock at my cottage, which I should call Play the Record, which I still have up to now, that I built a dock with the money he gave me. True story. I'm just shocked that he's still doing it. Like, I mean, is the industry still there? Is people buying records? Like, why is he still just kicking the bucket doing that?
How long did the Thursday thing last? Like, when did
forever. Until like 2010s, you know what I mean? That when things started, digital, man. Digital killed it.
Serato is a program or a software that basically allows DJs to use digital files from their laptop or from a hard drive. You can use it with CD turntables, you can use it with regular turntables, you can use it with controller, but you can also just connect to a mixer and you can play your whole entire set literally just off your computer. When Serato came out in 2005, a lot of guys already had a lot of digital files. So they were kind of already ready to go there.
Once I got to try it, oh my God, this is a game changer, and I couldn't stop talking about it. And I remember I flew out to Vancouver with Kid Cut because it was so much my actual luggage, my personal luggage of clothing and stuff like that, as well as these two massive crates. The airline charged me like $160, $170 to bring those crates back, and I was so pissed. And as soon as I landed back in Toronto, I bought a laptop, and I never looked back.
I could do the exact same job and bring 10 times the amount of records with me with the frickin' laptop and 2 controllers. Like, hell yeah, I'm with it.
For me personally, it's just something that you had to do. You had to keep up with the times.
With everything being on a USB, you could bring your whole collection on your laptop. I don't see a full return to vinyl ever happening.
But it wasn't like digital files came out and then instantaneously killed the scene, but definitely over time. I mean, I can't remember the last time I bought a 12-inch, frankly, you know, because you have access to it all the time, anywhere, anytime now.
As a young kid, as a teenager, working in the record store, dictating what people buy, I mean, that was kind of the attitude of it. Once people had the freedom of MP3s, it didn't matter anymore. They can tell you what's hot now. So naturally, it slowed down. Club DJs were the first to go.
You know, we'd notice it. We'd notice less things being pressed on vinyl. We'd notice certain DJs dropping off and not showing up anymore, DJs that would come regularly. When Thursday was 100 or 150 people going crazy, started to be 60 people.
Everything went down a little bit. When Skratch Live came, a little bit went down. When Serato came in, a lot went down. So we had to find other ways, you know?
The beat's about to switch again at Play the Record. First vinyl, then DJ equipment. Now the funky store on Yonge is opening a learning center in the back.
Honestly, it's really hard to find an environment where you can sit down and learn. You feel like it's impossible to be able to do something like this.
And that was crazy because he had enough foresight to be like, okay, how do I evolve or transition from, okay, maybe the record side of it is not bringing in as much income as it used to, so what can we do to supplement that? By setting up a DJ school in a store that was infamous for the DJ world, you're now bringing that potentially to a new generation of people. And again, you know, Gene had the foresight to be like, let's help keep this culture going.
But again, like everybody learns get free lessons on YouTube, just like how they get free music.
All that stuff, you know, to try and weather the storm, we knew what was going on. We knew that, you know, it was going to be a challenge. But at the end of the day, we kind of also trusted there's always going to be music lovers and there's always going to be people who love the medium, you know, of vinyl.
I have a love for the music, but the music product. To this day, I'm still very meticulous about how my album cover looks, the liner notes, all of the credit information.
DJ Jace, I did a remix for him this year. He met me in the food court for my place of work, and he handed me this record, and I very excitedly started screaming and scared a lot of the elderly people that were in the food court. I didn't actually think that I would see my name on a record for a long time, and I almost cried, which I really had to control myself because of the number of people that were around.
Now that it is a more limited thing, it's a bit more special. It's like the same way people like real photographs and things like that. It's like a physical piece of media. But when Serato came around, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I still got it, you know, like I'm gonna beat the curve and I'm gonna find ways to get the record. But then eventually, people coming up to you at the club being like, "Can you play this?" I'm like, I'm still waiting for it to get pressed. Then they're like, "What are you? What's a press?" You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
If a record is scratched, you may not be able to play it. You're in a close quarters and the audience is around you. People could be, knocking the table, people could be knocking the needle, and it could really affect your performance.
Serato was like that thing. It was the gift and the curse because it gave us everything that we really wanted as DJs. Me personally, I hated carrying crates. But at the same time, it tore our hearts out because we lost that sense of community.
As an entrepreneur, I got into like bars and venues and opened a club of my own, and it made sense for me to exit that point. It was emotional for years and years, and still is a little emotional, like definitely a high point of my, my life and my career. It was a really fun place to work.
As someone who essentially spent a lot of time, years on Yonge Street, a lot of the smaller businesses that had hung on for all those years were now getting taken over by the major corporations.
Well, when that property tax went up $7,000, man, I said, we can't do this. We're not even making money, right? And for that to happen, we said, look, so we were deciding if to continue or not, right? Jason didn't want to continue, so it's just me alone.
We had talked about closing the shop many times because it was hard. It's not the same business as it was, obviously, in the 90s. And then Eugene said, well, let's move it. And I go, okay, I was open to the idea. There was a spot on Spadina that Eugene showed me, and I go, it's cool. I liked it. But I really did some soul searching myself, and I felt I needed to go another direction in my life. So once the Yonge Street location closed down, I decided to move on and let Eugene take it over.
We used to do a scratcher to gather the scene and get people together. We did the last one that was in the actual Yonge Street, the OG store. Eugene let us do it. A good send-off, I suppose, for the OG store.
Eugene, a couple other people who were Play the Record loyalists, we all took a picture in front of the sign. And I remember after we took the picture, I was just like, this is part of Toronto culture.
And that location on Yonge Street is just a part of history. I felt it when he had to move.
You know the Sam sign? They got the Sam sign they have on top of they should tear that down and Play the Record sign there on top of there because that's just as well known as, probably even bigger than Sam the Record Man.
I'm super nostalgic when we talk about this stuff, man. Like going down memory lane and thinking about the places and the sounds and the smells of being in this movement at this time. There's institutions that were a part of the come up of this city and they don't exist anymore or they've changed. And I understand the evolution means that what we see today won't ever be what it was, but it's nice to think about it.
But all good things come to an end.
I get a wire from Eugene, says, oh, come check out the new store. Walked in there, and it was like if nothing had ever changed. I think it felt the same because Eugene was there, and so he's a store. Home is where Eugene is.
I just keep hoping. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do yet. But when you're so busy and you're always involved with music and you're ordering every day, and especially now where I'm alone. So I'm doing everything. I'm picking up record, looking at record, digging, sorting record, filling up the bins, checking stock, cashing people, answering phone calls, answering questions about equipment, which I don't really, it's not my forte. So even doing this documentary have me thinking, when I do all the pros and cons, all right, this is what we did. And then even now, I'm thinking this could be the end. But I'm not sure yet. Many times I thought maybe we might have to close because really it wasn't making any, we don't make any money really. I'm just doing it for, I don't even know what I'm doing it for.
And for me, I never could have done what I was doing at the level I was doing it without his contribution to my life, my career, and as a DJ, and everything that I was about back then. I mean, I owe him so much.
You know, I think one of the reasons he's considered such a legend and he's so revered in the city is because how sweet he is, how generous he is, and how, you know, I don't think he's got a mean bone in his body.
Without Play the Record, all my career probably would have went another path. You ask any DJ in Toronto that bought records back in the 90s, it was like, if there was no Play the Record, your DJ career might not have been where it is today.
I'll call him more for help than he called anybody for help. Last winter, you know, my family, we were trying to get things together. I had to call him for some help. He's like, done. And we hadn't spoken for about 10 years. So Eugene never changed. As long as I treated him with respect, he'd treat me like family, like a nephew.
The passion was clearly there at Play the Record, passionate about the music, who wanted to deliver it to people, to share it.
The understanding that Toronto needed to tell its story, and Eugene and Play the Record being a part of that, was something that we all believed in.
I take my kids there. They don't even know what the fuck a record is, but I just take them there. You don't understand right now, son, but you need to stand here, like right now.
The music, which is the soundscape to our lives, would not be possible without a place to go buy those records so people can hear them. And that's a major community hub. That's what this is all about. Like, without Play the Record, you know, would the culture be the same? I don't know. Maybe not.
I think it will live on. That passion that he had for a record store, you know, I have never seen it anywhere else, right? It's a family-owned business. You know, there's not that many of that around. It's not a corporation. He doesn't have shares. You know, he just does what he loves. You know, so I think that legacy will continue on forever.
It's only when we started doing this documentary, maybe we did have something to do with it. I never saw it, like, you know, when you have to step back, then you see the picture, right?
Turn it up, turn it up. See, lockdown. Yo,
Them outlaws was born to break laws and felonies. They got an empty gates in the town. They're running steadily to all my money makers cross town. December guns and put the pieces back together, trying to drunk one another. Case thrown out, stormed the courtrooms, uniforms and three-piece suits from bail, putting up houses and loot. He walking, I heard him talking to his partner Hawkins about his way of living, faces of death. He running with this other kid from Ramon Olive and Silverstone. They stack mad gats in the ceiling at his baby mom's homes. These knocks are watching us, undercovers on the rooftop, prepared and bulletproofed up. Jurassic blowing cruisers up fatal. They got us trapped under this negative force. Some try to find a way out, but no doubt some make it out. Some learning from their own mistakes, so take this negative and turn it into positive. Whether you wanna listen, your prerogative. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Jealousy. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Lust. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Yo, kick off the top lock and run up in that. Get to the point, don't let him get the upper hand. He gambling with Pinman. Told everybody drop their cards and keep their hands up on the table. This kid thought he was quick, he drew first but shot last. Blood on my mask. This other youth was trying to run for the door and picked up one in his back and collapsed. Matter of fact, my main concern was for somebody grab this. I used my sleeve to wipe the money off the table, flooded all in one bag. They're taking rings to bracelets to find coke inside the bin, but nah, they taking too long. They inside and lavishing. Come on, it's time we make a move, so let's bounce from this apartment, fly it down the staircase, and now we tearing down the place wisely. Don't want a bait up situation, therefore. So when we get to the west, we sharing our minds, what's yours is yours. Beast Boys come out at late night, so don't speed. Ayo, a cruiser cut us off to try to make his way to the crime. See, look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Jealousy. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Yo, now in closing, you don't know he should never brag for real. Come on, you know that. Remember, who can't hear they must feel. But word up on the streets is that you robbing mad peeps, and now it's getting bad to worse because it's getting too far. From front page to stolen cars, knocks to know who you are. We gotta meet him, then we tie him up and drive him real far. Then we separate his body, chop it up for the cars. Them outlaws breaking in and out of gun stores. Only if you can understand spotting shells on the floor. And yo, it's far from a threat. Faces of death, there's nothing left. What was that? Hey, yo, it's far from a threat. Faces of death, there's nothing left. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Envy. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see. Jealousy. Take a look through my eyes and you'll see what I see.